Happy last day of May and welcome to this Friday's edition of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young and I've been covering the NBA and NHL playoffs pretty extensively for the past few weeks, but they're coming to a close, so I will bring you up to speed now. Starting with the NBA, the top-seeded Boston Celtics took care of business in Indiana on Monday, beating the Pacers 105-102 to complete a sweep of the Eastern Conference Finals. With the win, the Celtics are heading back to the NBA Finals, their second finals appearance in 3 seasons. As a fan, when you hear the word sweep, you assume it was a wildly uneven contest and very lopsided, but this wasn't really the case. Other than Game 2, where Boston won 126-110, every game was neck and neck until the final buzzer. Boston needed a miracle in Game 1 to force overtime, where they would hang on to win by 5. In Game 3, the Celtics didn't take the lead until 38 seconds remained in the game, where they would pull out a 114-111 win. Game 4 was back and forth all night long, but Boston managed to pull away in the final seconds when Derek White made the clutch three-pointer to take the lead. Andrew Nembhard missed the tying shot for Indiana, and the Celtics held strong to close out the 105-102 win. Jaylen Brown led the Celtics when he dropped 29 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals. As I mentioned, this is the Celtics' second time in 3 seasons being in the NBA Finals. Not only that, they're one of the best teams in NBA history. These Celtics are now just the 9th team in the past 40 seasons to reach the NBA Finals with less than 20 combined losses total between the regular season and the playoffs. They had the greatest regular season offense in NBA history and this season's number 2 overall defense. They rank 2nd in playoff offense and 3rd in playoff defense, so it really is no surprise that they are back on the biggest stage. The Celtics are now gearing up for the NBA Finals, where they will face the team representing the Western Conference, the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks are back in the finals for the first time since the 2010-2011 season, where they won the Larry O'Brien Trophy after a 4-2 series win over the Miami Heat. To get to this point, after an incredibly close win in Game 1, the Mavericks then picked up another narrow victory in Game 2. In Game 3, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving each scored 33 points as the Mavs beat the Wolves for a 3-0 lead in the West Finals. With their backs against the wall, the Timberwolves were facing elimination and needed a win in Game 4 to stay alive. In that do-or-die game, Anthony Edwards had 29 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists as the Wolves stayed alive in their first trip to the conference finals in 20 years and just the second in the franchise's 35 seasons. Like I said, Game 5 was last night, and the Timberwolves' comeback efforts fell just short as the Mavericks closed out the series and advanced to the NBA Finals. Game 1 of the NBA Finals will be next Thursday, June 6th. Moving on to the NHL, starting in the West, the Oilers and Stars have been in a high-scoring back-and-forth battle all series long. In Game 1, Connor McDavid scored in the second overtime period to give Edmonton a win and a 1-0 series lead. Game 2 was tied most of the game before Mason Marchment's goal broke the tie, and the Stars beat the Oilers 3-1 to even the series. Dallas won their second straight when Jason Robertson completed his first career playoff hat trick, and the Stars defeated the Oilers 5-3 on Monday to make it a 2-1 lead. In Game 4 on Wednesday, things were looking pretty bleak for the Oilers. After Wyatt Johnson and Issa Lindell scored goals just 5 minutes into the first period, Dallas was quickly up 2-0 and Edmonton had a hole to climb out of. The Oilers somehow tied the game 2-2 after Ryan McLeod and Evan Bouchard scored in the first period. Matthias Janmark and Leon Draisaitl both added goals in the second period to take a 4-2 lead, then Ekholm would score on an open net in the third period to seal the 5-2 victory. After their 5 straight unanswered goals, Edmonton tied the series up 2-2. Game 5 will be tonight at 5:30 on TNT. In the East, the Florida Panthers handedly beat the New York Rangers 3-0 in Game 1 last week. The Rangers came back swinging in Game 2, taking the game to overtime, where Barclay Goodrow scored 14 minutes into overtime to give the Rangers a 2-1 win and even the series. Games 3 and 4 also went into overtime, with the Rangers taking Game 3 and the Panthers taking the 4th. So, of their first 4 games, 3 went into overtime and the series was tied 2-2. It really doesn't get much closer than that. Game 5 was last night, and the Panthers are now 1 game away from a Stanley Cup Finals appearance after taking a 3-2 series lead. Game 6 will be tomorrow at 5 p.m. on ABC. Tune in to the last few conference finals games to see which 2 teams will be competing for a Stanley Cup. It's about that time for the college baseball and softball World Series. Before the World Series comes the conference tournaments, and the Pac-12 tournament ended with a bang. University of Arizona first baseman Tommy Splain hit a walk-off single into left field to score pinch runner Emilio Corona from second base and seal a 4-3 win for the Wildcats over the USC Trojans for the Pac-12 title. However, the bigger picture of this story was that this was the final game of the Pac-12 conference across all sports. Washington State and Oregon State will be the only remaining members this fall when 4 schools join the Big Ten, UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington, 4 join the Big 12, Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah, and 2 join the ACC, Stanford and Cal. The Conference of Champions has officially come to an end. The Pac-12 has won 561 team national championships, which is over 200 more than the Big Ten in second place. In fact, Stanford with 135 titles, UCLA with 123, and USC with 113 alone have more combined titles than any other league. The 109-year-old league that began as the Pacific Coast Conference in 1915, before becoming the Pac-8, then the Pac-10, and finally the Pac-12, ended its final year of existence with some major highlights. Washington was the college football playoffs runner-up, 2 conference quarterbacks became Heisman finalists with Michael Penix Jr. and Bo Nix, and the number 1 overall draft pick Caleb Williams was selected to the Chicago Bears out of USC. 5 women's basketball teams made the Sweet 16, Cal claimed its 3rd straight men's water polo championship, and Arizona State won the swimming and diving title. 5 more Pac-12 teams have won national titles this spring, and it's not over yet. UCLA and Stanford are in the Women's College World Series, and Arizona, Oregon, and Oregon State all made the 64-team men's baseball tournament. Looking ahead, Washington State and Oregon State will be the only 2 Pac-2 this fall, joining the Mountain West for football and the WCC for other sports. But the NCAA only offers a 2-year grace period for conferences to remain active with less than 7 members, so final movements must be made soon. Personally, I will dearly miss watching a matchup like ASU versus USC until like 11 or midnight on a weekend. Those are some of my favorite memories watching college football. To end the show on a more somber note, the sports world lost a legend earlier this week who was also a Pac-12 legend. NBA Hall of Famer Bill Walton has passed away at 71 after battling cancer in recent years. Walton had an incredible career at UCLA under iconic coach John Wooden. Throughout his collegiate career, the 6'11" center won 2 national championships and 3 National College Player of the Year awards, and he was a 3-time All-American. He lost only 4 games in his 3 seasons, going 86-4 overall. That success then continued in the NBA. The number 1 overall pick in the 1974 draft by the Portland Trail Blazers, he won an NBA championship in 1977 and an MVP award after averaging 18.9 points and 13.2 rebounds in 1978. In 1985, after being traded to the Boston Celtics, he won another championship and 6th Man of the Year award. Walton played 10 games the following season and retired after lengthy struggles with injuries. Off the court, Walton became well known for his career as a basketball broadcaster. He was famous and beloved for his eccentric and sometimes just straight up bizarre acts, one-liners, jokes, and stories. He was by far one of, if not the most entertaining and unpredictable TV personalities in recent history, and all of his colleagues shared anecdotes this past week about how great of a person he was outside of sports. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said it best in his statement, quote, "What I will remember most about him was his zest for life. He was a regular presence at league events, always upbeat, smiling ear to ear, and looking to share his wisdom and warmth. I treasured our close friendship, envied his boundless energy, and admired the time he took with every person he encountered," end quote. Fans across the world will miss Bill Walton deeply. With all that said, thank you for joining me on this Friday's episode of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.